Welcome back, you guys. This is going to be a newer build that we have not done before. Pretty interesting to see how this comes out. I first want to say that we have a lot of big build videos coming out over the next 30 to 45 days. We happen to have some very large projects that are sitting here. I do know that in the last, I would say November into December, we've been super busy with holidays, out of town and some things like that. We really haven't turned those videos out like we normally do. So we're in the catch-up mode now, where some of this content has actually been done and we're actually just going to be releasing it into 2020. Now, one of the things you're probably going to notice right straight up front is my voice sounds busted. And that's because I'm kind of under the weather. I really haven't been feeling that great as we've turned into 2020 right here in the beginning part of January. And it is what it is. You guys happen to see a video from beginning to end somewhat seamlessly over the course of what would be 10 to 20 minutes, and I happen to play this out over the course of 1 to 2 weeks as I do the work and draw it up and actually get everything colored and put back together in film. So we're probably going to see a voice change from the beginning to the end. Just kind of wanted to give you guys that warning right straight up front that we're going to do our best on the audio portion of this video to see what we can turn out for you guys. Let's go over the work. Okay, so you guys have seen us do some Shield build videos in the past. This happens to be a Gen 1. I always like the Gen 1s because it gives us an opportunity to kind of revamp and revitalize an older model slide that is slightly different than the Gen 2s. So let's talk about it. In the past, we've done a lot of other things, the raptor cuts, the top serrations, the cobra nose, some optic cuts, some side windows. We're going to be doing a big change overall, and what we're going to be doing here, which is a little bit different than what we've offered in the past, is we're going to be doing the Hive. Okay, so we've never actually offered the Hive on the Shield. With the Shield being somewhat of a smaller slide, there really just isn't a lot of room to build a Hive. It did take me a little bit of time in order to design this out in my head, figure this out on the paper, and actually get this into the CAD and export it into the machine. So we're going to see how it comes out. I do want to kind of give you that brief rundown. We're going to end up doing what's going to be a two-step Hive. It's almost going to be like a four-way Hive. So it's going to be 1, 2 on the top, and then we're going to have one on this side, one on this side. And we're doing that because we have a front dovetail. We want to make sure that we keep a significant amount of area where the barrel locks up. We also want to make sure that we have enough room up here on the front zone where the iron sight comes up. So we don't want the iron sight to go into the Hive. So it's going to be an interesting top piece. Once again, it'll be left to right is 2, and then it'll be 1 and then 1. So we also have a step down on the top. So we're actually going to be removing material and then creating this. So it's going to be a little bit of like a recess and then a little bit of hole work. So it's going to be interesting. On the sides, we're going to end up doing a shave. What that's going to do is it's going to remove the M&P 9 shield on the left, and it's going to remove the little factory writing on the right. So we want to do some sort of a step down. Then we want to do 4 holes. We're obviously going to have those holes line up with the top. So if you look at them the way they roll from the side to the top, everything is proportionally and in order. So pretty interesting. You guys have obviously seen that on some of the other Glocks that we've done. Of course, we offer a Hive package on what would be the compacts or the larger size of the Smith & Wesson slides. So let's talk about some of the other stuff. Cobra nose, you guys have seen that before in the past. So we're going to do the Cobra nose. We are going to be doing an optic cut on the back. This is going to be a little bit more interesting because in this particular case, we do have the loaded chamber indicator bar, which will be coming out. We're going to be removing that. We're going to be keeping the rear dovetail in the back. So we're going to keep that. We're going to remove this. I don't know how that's going to play exactly yet with where the roll pin goes through here. I don't know if we're going to be cutting down deep enough to remove all of that. I don't think we're going to be quite that deep, but I am envisioning that somewhere along the line that a lot of the guts and the inside where you see like there's a spring and there, in some of the other small tab holes in there, I do think a lot of those will end up turn up missing by the time we've cut that deep overall. So we should kind of get a real good pattern over that. I am definitely curious and eager to see how it plays out with the loaded chamber indicator that's on there. Okay, guys, so we're also going to be doing blue titanium on the slide, so I think that's going to be a nice color. We have a little bit of laser work that we're going to be doing on the left-hand side. We have some text that we're going to be doing, so we're going to show you guys that. And then one of the other things that we kind of got ahead of ourselves on, and once again, as we kind of had talked about in earlier in this video, or a little bit before in this video, was that some of the work had actually already been performed. We're kind of doing a catch-up mode here because of vacations and things like that. We actually ended up doing the barrel already. So we did a Hive all the way around the barrel here. Really nice the way that pattern came out. Obviously it was polished, sent out. It was coated, hard tin coated. So this is going to end up going in something like this. Usually we don't do things in this order, but since barrels are a slower turnaround time, prep work, clean up, ship, having it coated, having it come back, usually takes longer than the actual slide work itself. Since we had some vacation and things, we thought, why don't we go ahead and get the barrel work done and we'll get it back before we actually start the slide, which in the end ends up getting the overall product back to our customer a little bit faster than if we would have pushed it off and we would have done the barrel as a secondary thing. So making that done or having that done up front was probably a really good idea. So guys, obviously we're gonna have a barrel in this mix as well. We're gonna kind of just set this over to the side. Pretty interesting to see how this comes out. We do know the color combination. We have an overall visual of what we're gonna be doing. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna jump over to the Tormach 770. We're gonna go ahead and start on the top section. So we're gonna run that top Hive while it's already in this configuration in the vise. Top Hive, optic, we're gonna get both those knocked out. We'll end up doing a roll. We'll cut the side, do the nose. We'll flip, cut the side, do the nose. A little bit of laser work, a little bit of coloring. We'll see exactly how it comes out. All right, you guys, let's take a moment here and see exactly how this came out in the end. Now, we ended up having a lot of different hurdles that typically we wouldn't normally have, but this is a pretty advanced build. So let's just kind of discuss that. We're going to start with the optic cut in the back. I know there's a lot of you guys that are interested in seeing how this is going to come out. Really wanted to just kind of know overall what the visual is going to be. So we ended up cutting it down. A lot of the internal holes that were already there, spring hole, obviously the loaded indicator chamber hole. We've got some tabs here where the roll pin went through. A lot of that stuff did turn up mostly missing. So in other words, a lot of it's been cut down so much to the extent of when we put the optic on the slide, we're actually not going to be seeing any of that stuff. So overall, I think it's a real good change for those of you guys that are running a pistol that has a loader chamber indicator. If you're just kind of curious overall what it's going to look like, really pleased with that. No doubt that's going to be a big change for this individual, considering there's no loader chamber indicator anymore on there. So it's going to be a big change on the back half of the slide. I think it's definitely a positive change. Let's talk about that top zone, and then we're going to get moved into the sides. We're going to kind of explain this a little bit better. One of the biggest issues we have with the shield is there really just isn't a lot of room on the top to cut holes. I wanted to try something a little bit different. I didn't want to just do 3 and 4 and 4 and just like we typically see with a lot of the other builds. Of course, we also see that on the compact 2.0s. I really wanted to build something that was a little bit more unique. I wanted the holes maybe to be a little bit larger, but yet on the same hand, not quite as many of them. And some of the challenge that we had here was the front iron sight is a longer version than what we would get with, say, a standard shield. These are similar to what would be like a performance center set of iron sights. We don't typically see these. Obviously, it's usually a black rear and a black front. So we ended up having a little bit more challenges there. We did want to make sure that everything fit together correctly. We do have some pictures that we'll show you on how nice this blended together. So we ended up doing a larger step down. And the reason we ended up doing that was because we didn't want to just do 2 holes and a top hole, and I thought having a recess there would maybe give it a little bit more of a texture-based feeling. It would feel as though it's a little bit more three-dimensional than just a shaved top and really kind of not
not really all that cool because there wasn't a lot of cut work there. So we ended up adding that step down, 2 holes, one then on each side to kind of just tie it in together. We're able to see the barrel. Once again, we'll add a couple pictures here towards the end if we have not done so already. And really just impressed with the way that it came out. We ended up leaving a nice area here for the lockup zone. Obviously, we left a nice area there to support that front iron. Just a real cool pattern. Now, the sides are pretty interesting as well. We ended up doing a step down, remove that factory text. We ended up doing 4. These 4, I should say the two here are in line with the top. So it's basically 4. These 2 would come right straight up over in there in the same plane as what we're getting with the top zone here. So pretty interesting there. Now let's take a look at the other side. So definitely able to see a good amount of Hive barrel out through the sides. I wouldn't typically maybe recommend this pattern if we didn't have barrel work done. It ends up being some significantly large holes to see a black barrel, but overall with the Hive barrel, really pleased. Cobra nose there on the end, so obviously the blue titanium and the gold go extremely well together. We do see that as a color combination quite frequently. Those two seem to be paired together real nice like. So guys, if you have not been following the channel, please do so. In this year, as we've kind of rolled over to the year, there's so many large projects that we're working on right now. This happened to be one of them. This was a lot of cut work for a small slide, a lot of detail for something that we haven't done before in one of the shields. We obviously have several of the shield available services on the webpage for purchase. You'd ship your slide and we do that work, we get it mailed out. But we do find ourselves doing some more challenging builds over time, and right now we have several of them here that are Hive builds, but they're a little bit more challenging than what we would typically do. They've been altered ever so slightly in the customer's eyes in order for something that they wanted to see, in order to get that step off of what the standard package is. So it's a little bit different. We're going to still see a lot of the same, but we're also going to end up seeing the visual change and what the customer's after. So really cool there. Definitely subscribe if you have not already. Share the content. A lot of good content on there in the past. Instagram and Facebook is kind of the place to be. We've got a ton of reviews over on Facebook. We've got a ton of pictures over on our Instagram account. Feel free to use that contacts tab. Okay, go to the webpage. There is a contacts tab. There is a little bit of form. Fill it out. Let us know exactly what you want to have done. We'll hit you back. We'll let you know if we need some pictures. We'll let you know if we need some pictures of a project. Maybe we're going to say, hey, we're not sure what you're talking about. Send us a couple build pictures of what you're after. And we're going to kind of iron out those details the best we can. We also have a hardware tab page that's on there now. Actively, we have been putting more and more stuff on there. A lot of that stuff was demo hardware that we had built for some sort of a project. We're actually getting into the now where we're actually just starting to kind of carry some of the stuff. We do have a lot of those requests for those Hive Glock barrels. You can find them on there in a threaded version or a non-threaded version, or a 19, a 17, a 23. So stuff that has started becoming more and more popular, we have started carrying it more and more to cut down on the overall turnaround time. So stuff like doing the laser pattern on a barrel and then sending it off and having that coating done can be a pretty slow turnaround time. It's out of our hands. We end up getting that into the hands of the coating company that does the hard coatings. We don't have any control over those guys. So the turnaround time sometimes is poor. So a lot of the big ones, the Hives, the Diamonds, some of the other ones that you'll see on there, some of the Sandman stuff, you'll start seeing that stuff pop up more often than you have in the past. Typically, we're only going to be carrying barrels for Glocks, not because we end up doing more Glocks than anything else, but because they're easier to find. They're not specific to a certain model. You know, we can end up putting it into a Gen 1 through 5, 19. So it's kind of one of those deals where we get a lot of requests for the same guns over and over again, and a lot of those barrels would fit a different generation of the same weapon, versus we're not necessarily getting that with, like, say a 2.0 barrel. So even some of the Apex barrels that are out there, they'll tell you that they're, you know, you need to gunsmith fit these before you do something to these, because a Gen 1 might be slightly different than a Gen 2. So we do try to carry the stuff that's a little bit easier to move. It is a little bit more of a requested item because more people are able to request the same item over a different platform. So it's kind of one of those deals. But definitely reach out to us if you happen to have any questions about anything. There is definitely a ton of stuff going on this year. My head is in like 500 different directions with the work and a facility and permits for the facility. So there's definitely going to be a lot of different things that's going to be released this year that you guys are going to be able to see, and not all of it's going to be gun work. We have a lot of other things that we're going to be working on as well, and of course just straight up the update on what's going on with our facility. So there's going to be a lot of other stuff being released this year that's not necessarily just cut work. So guys, if you need anything, let me know, and you can catch me on the next one.